probably 15, 20 years ago when I had my first set of glasses. I needed them for distance, it was a very mild prescription. But when I wore them for the first time, it was like where I really noticed it was the cinema, because I had lived my life genuinely thinking cinema screens are always a little bit out of focus.
Yeah, well, I had a Zoom call this week with my two friends from uni, and I said to them, like, this sounds insane, but I've thought for like so long, like, yeah, it's funny how, like, when you're watching a play, the lights make people's faces like disappear, isn't it? And they were both like, what? And it's like, I've just assumed that having bright lights on people's faces makes it so you can't really see them clearly. That's how everybody sees their faces.
Just agree with Platts when they say that. You saw what they did to the Swift.
I'd saved that Swift. A great physical exertion to myself. So now I'm just raging at how much I can see now.
Well, I've recently gone to varifocals, and they're freaky weird, because it depends which part of the glass you're looking out of.
They're not just focal. They're extremely focal.
My mum said that the weirdest thing to get used to is walking downstairs when you're wearing them. Yeah. Because you're sort of looking at, if you look at your feet, it's like the distance, but then like this distance and that, like looking through different parts of the...
You have to hold things there and go...
Yeah, angle it.
Driving back from Birmingham, they put glasses on. I went, oh, I thought all the lights were meant to be like a cross.
Yeah, so there was that meme thing that went round not long ago, where it was like, if you see like car tail lights at night, like with like a cross of light coming off it, you've probably got astigmatism. And I thought it was one of these like trick
thought that was what really devout Catholics get.
No, I was just like, that's how everyone sees light. I was like, stop pathologizing people. That's how everyone sees things.
That was very good. Dave, I won't get it.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm standing.
Oh, because that was my catchphrase. Yeah, I was raging when I put them on.
But
we were driving back from Birmingham.
But can I tell you about Morecambe Fringe?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
thought that was your story about the Fringe.
No, because we took a new show to Morecambe Fringe.
We've not got there yet.
Yeah,
we focused on the poo for way too long. Tell us about the theatre stuff.
Right, well, first off, I was staying with this woman who runs an Airbnb, and we'd stayed there. Me, Emma, and Steve had stayed there in 2018 when we took our first show to Morecambe, and the guy who brought us up there, who's called Matt, had booked us in at her place. So I just got in touch with her and went, are you still doing rooms? And she's like, yeah. But she's amazing, right? She is part of the Just Stop Oil movement.
Oh, cool.
So she was on the civil protests. I says, how did the protests go? And she went, we don't call them protests, we call them civil disobedience.
Right.
So she was like locking herself to other people outside of oil refineries. And when I was booking the room with her, we had a conversation because she actually sent me a text saying, you need to book the room by the end of this week or you won't be able to get in touch with me for the next 4 weeks because I won't have my phone because we're not risking the police being able to track us.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's the level they're at.
Yeah.
That's awesome. She's a pensioner. And she said a few of the people that were doing these civil disobediences were younger people, but most of them were older. Most of them were climate change scientists who were basically saying, yeah, we've quit our job. Because there's
like,
no...
What else can we do?
There's no point working because we're all going to fucking die.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
And of course, with the way the weather's been recently, they're right, aren't they? And as I tweeted, that 2050 target, could we bring that forward a few years? Maybe.
Yeah, because that's quite far away and shit's going on now. Yeah.
I get warm.
But she was telling me all these great stories about when she'd done all this civil disobedience and getting arrested, going to court. The judge was like lovely with her.
Yeah.
And that's and she got arrested 3 times. She's still got 2 on the waiting to go through the system. But we had this wonderful conversation with her, and she really wanted to come and see our show. And she says, I can't make it because I'm going to a friend's wedding. Her friend's wedding got cancelled, and she went, the wedding's been cancelled, but I still can't make it because there's a massive demonstration in London, and I'm going on that because I'm sorry, that's more important.
I know this isn't the main takeaway, but why did the friend's wedding get cancelled?
Probably because it was too fucking hot. Because the world's on fire, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway.
The natural dramatist in me is just assuming that
it's like, why do you cancel a wedding so close to the date? Like, what happened? Yeah.
No, I don't think it was like a wedding. I think it was like a wedding party. I think they got married during COVID and I was having
that's nice.
But anyway, Morecambe Fringe, it was very, very nice. Matt, who runs it, Monkey Poet. So you've got like, if you go to Morecambe as a tourist, you'll go to like the northern end, what they call kind of like the east side, really, which it kind of is. But most of this was going on at the other end, and when you go there, you could see it's like real poverty-stricken. It's really run down, and he took over an empty shop and turned it into a venue.
That's cool. I like that.
That he runs the Fringe out of. And it's fucking great. It really is. So it was like, the tickets were a £5, and that got you into any show. A £5, that was it. And then you just donated to the artists at the end.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really good.
He hasn't got a license for alcohol, but there's like an off license down the road, and he's like
the BYOB.
BYOB.
Yeah.
I love venues.
It's a garden party. Woo!
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I saw some shows. 2 in particular blew me away. There was and they was like on the same bill, like doing the same slot sort of thing. There was a woman from Morecambe, and she was like a fairly newish actor, I think. Certainly a newish writer, and she'd written these monologues in different characters and was performing them, and nailed them. Like, they were brilliant. She did a really good job. Then the next show was this guy who was dyslexic, and it was a very severe form of dyslexia because it was also affecting his speech. And he was doing a show about dyslexia, including bits where he took you into the world of a dyslexic.
That's interesting.
So it was like he had a chalkboard with just letters all over it, all on top of each other, and it's like, that's the chalkboard I had at school, sort of thing. It's like, it's an important show. It needs a rewrite. It needs a bit of work doing to it, but only a bit. But it's a really important show. But yes, we did our show for the first time ever.
How did it go, Dave?
Did it go good, Dave?
It went really well. It went really
well. Did you go on wishing you'd been a lawyer instead?
That is still my favourite moment from any 4048. Your face, Mike.
If you didn't do that, then bonus. Then
what did happen? People laughed in the right places. They cried in the right places.
Yay!
There was a really cool bit on the Saturday afternoon. Me, Emma, and Steve met up, and we were walking along the seafront. going through our lines. So we were running the play. And a woman comes past in a wheelchair and just goes, "Oh, Poets, Prattlers and Pandemonialists." And he was like, "Oh, hi!" And she come to our previous show.
You can always rely on the Crypt Nation to give you, you know.
Present.
That's where home is.
But she came over to me at the end of the show and she went, "In the first show, you made me cry." I went, "And in this show, you've made me cry." So when I did the first show with them, the poem Bob made her cry. And then this one,
I love that one.
It was the poem I'd done for my granddaughter that made her cry.
Aww.
But yeah, he went really well. We remembered our lines, which was,
excellent.
The target, really. But the really cool thing, they were recording it, they were filming it.
Ooh.
And,
we see it?
Well, Monkey Poet has said that in October we should get a HD copy of it. But
bloody hell, more, calm down.
Yeah.
Very snazzy.
Like 5 camera setup. I was like, you know.
Bloody hell, that is fancy.
It's going on a streaming service that goes out to universities in America.
That's cool.
And
if
apparently
it's not called Fringe Flicks, I don't want to know.
It's something
which could
like
also
that.
arguably be a dating app for hairdressers.
and should be. But yeah, I think that's really cool that like our little Black Country heavy show might be seen by some philosophy students.
That would be very cool.
In Wichita.
That's so nice.
But yeah, it was a lovely weekend. Well, it wasn't even a weekend. It was like 4 or 5 days. I found a fantastic Chinese takeaway.
That is when
Chopsticks,
you know
it's called.
Okay time.
If you're ever in Morecambe, Chopsticks Chinese takeaway in the West End.
I want Chinese.
Yeah, and had a lovely time.
Hannah, a couple of exciting weeks coming up for you. How are you feeling pre-birth?
Oh yeah,
Pre what?
Edinburgh.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Got to try and remember what to say in this play because I've not done it since June.
You'll be
and I don't think I'm getting a run through. I think I just got to dive in when I get there. So that'll be exciting.
While you're up there, I saw Morecambe Fringe doing a preview. Stella Graham, stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah, I've done a gig with her once. Yeah.
It's a lovely little show.
You have as well. It was in Armando.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
It's a lovely little show. So if anyone's in Edinburgh, try and catch Stella's show. Of course, Rob Kemp's show.
Oh yeah, he's on my list.
Lovely
I've already said that because Rob and Alex's play that they're doing is on at the same time as my show. So I was like, we can meet up afterwards and have a little bev.
Try and get to Milo McCabe's show. Troy Hawk.
Also,
Troy
Jack
Hawk.
Hunter off of Curbs.
Right. I need to write these down because I'll forget otherwise.
One of two, which is autobiographical about him and his sister who have both got CP. He's at Summer Hall.
Oh, Summer Hall,
every
fancy.
day at I think quarter to 12 to quarter to 1. I'll double check.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my hands on a booklet so I can circle some stuff.
You need to, I think, see Alex Hilton.
Alex Hilton, stand-up comedian from Leicester.
Yep, very, very funny.
Doesn't he do the naked comedy show as well?
He does every so often. I'm not sure if he did it last year. I know that Jason Neal did it, and so did Kirsty Monroe, but I don't know who else is on it.
Rob Kemp did it one year.
Oh, should have told us.
Jason Neal. I saw Jason Neal when he did Anarchy for me and Rob. Jonty's just put, I'm sorry, what? Jonty, there's a show at Leicester Comedy Festival, which is the naked comedy show. And
it's a normal stand-up night.
But all the comedians are naked.
Yeah. If you are scared of being naked, you can wear incredibly skimpy bottoms, and that's about it. But everyone normally does it completely naked.
But Jason Neal had done it at Leicester, and then he came and did Anarchy. And there was a comedian on, I can't remember her name now, for the life of me, I can't remember her name. But she's gay. And she was like, I did naked comedy with one of the comedians that's at the back of the room. And she did a little routine about it. And then Jason Neal came up and went, yeah, it was me. And he said, this woman, because obviously being gay, he says they was all backstage and they all kind of went, okay, let's just take our clothes off, get it over and done with. And he says this woman was standing next to him and just went, I've never seen one before. He went,
No.
can I touch it? And Jason
No.
went, yeah, if you want. And she went,
Oh. Oh, I don't know how I feel
That's
about
the,
it.
but I think that's the correct response to like an iffy can I touch it is a experimental poke rather than like a tug.
Rachel is asking if the audience is also naked.
No, they're not.
Okay, good.
Rob told me actually that he got heckled during that gig. And he actually says to the bloke who heckled him, he's like, don't you think it's fucking hard enough up here?
You're not, though.
Oh. Yeah, so I will be taking Edinburgh recommendations if anyone has them.
Josie
Put
Long's got a
them
new show up there. It's
on
always
Twitter
worth
or
seeing
in the
Josie
Discord.
Long.
Good. Yes.
I also
I definitely want to see Josie, yeah.
I also saw in Morecambe a guy called Robin Boot, who
Yeah.
does it's rock comedy.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's rock music and comedy.
I like that.
He had a tough fucking crowd in Morecambe, and he did really well.
Mm.
And I think if he gets a crowd behind him in Edinburgh, that's going to be a great. I mean, it's a good show
Yeah.
anyway, but I think if he gets a
But
crowd
something
behind
that
him,
needs the atmosphere, like, yeah.
that'll be well. worth watching.
Now this is
Sounds good.
probably an impossible question, but how much is it now to sort of roughly take a thing up there?
Well, I don't know because I'm going with the theatre company that I've worked with before there. So I know that because we're at Pleasance, and Pleasance have used some of their COVID relief money to cover the fees for the shows. So we're not paying, I think we're either not paying venue fees or we're paying like a really reduced venue fee. But it is a kids show, like it's on in the morning slot. So it's not like premium.
You see, if you go up with
like
somewhere
real
like
estate.
if you go up with someone like PBH,
Yeah.
you get it for free.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to deal with PBH himself, though.
But then you got to deal
Yeah.
with PBH, and you've got to
Yeah.
deal with PBH venues.
Also, I'm guessing
Yeah.
Platts, have you ever been on Free Fringe?
I have not myself,
okay,
but I've
'cause if
seen
you've ever
Free
been-
Fringe shows.
Do you
if
mean
you ever done Free
PBH?
Fringe, you can't.
Do you mean PBH free?
Well, no,
There's
no.
two,
As in, like, if you,
'cause
the
there's-
actual Free Fringe that's actually
There's
free.
Free Fringe, then there's PBH's Free Fringe. So
If
there's
you've
like
ever been on
two
the Free
different-
Fringe, you cannot be in any PBH venue ever again
Yeah, they fell out big time.
because PBH is a prick.
Yeah, PBH put out this like weird
So-
pamphlet, like sort of slightly like libeling them, I think, a little bit.
Absolutely.
This is years ago.
So,
Yeah.
like Edinburgh Virgin, what is PBH?
So basically, that's the initials of a bloke who runs a Free Fringe thing. So
So PBH is a nobbin.
yes, basically.
Excellent.
Peter.
Not that
Buckley Hill.
I'm
You're-
being mean about people online. but-
If you do PBH, they tell you it's free. If you ask any questions, they'll say we're volunteers. And you're like, well,
Actually-
I'm only asking you the shape of the room. Surely you know the shape of the room. We're volunteers. Okay. And then about a month, maybe even 3 weeks before you go up, you have to pay your admin fee of like a tenner. You're like, oh, okay. You've got to have flyers, and when you give out flyers, you've got to have copies of the PBH book. They call it the Blue Book with you.
Yeah, so they print their own booklet with all of
Yeah.
their shows in. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
the
you
book's
can't-
got like it's 500 plus shows, over so many venues.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between quality and quantity.
You also, if you're in the PBH Free Fringe, you can't have your shows on a flyer. Like, you can't have your shows flyered by a company that's promoting other free shows. It's really insular and creepy, and so like
they had a big falling out, so the
Bob Slayer set up Heroes up there as well.
Yeah, Bob Slayer's like changing the way it's working up there, isn't he?
Because there was Forest Fringe for a while as well, but I don't think they're doing that anymore.
But then what will happen, Mike, is you'll do your show, and you'll have your bucket at the end of the show, and you'll make a little bit
stand there making eye contact with people as they leave, shaking the bucket.
And then when you've finished your run, about 2 weeks after, you get an email from PBH going, it's not written down, but it's customary that you give us 10% of your bucket.
What if you're taking 50 quid?
Then you're supposed to send him a $5.
Yeah.
But
which is why the Free Fringe is weird. Whereas like the Bob Slayers one is, it like everything is free. It's on the bucket, but like give us 20 quid. It's like I think it's like that. You pay like a really small fee for the venue.
Fee.
Like
yeah.
I think that's how it works.
But then, so when we went the first year, we were in a chip shop, which was also a pub, because it's Edinburgh. And all the venues were up some stairs. And it was obvious that these were just like offices that had not been used for the rest of the year. And they literally just put in some stud wall. And then each room's got a microphone and an amp and a speaker. But the problem you've got, so we went to see a woman called Melanie Branton from Bristol, who's a poet. So obviously when you're doing... Yeah, Melanie's great. So when you're doing a poetry spoken word thing, you're not using the mic because it's more theatrical. Yeah, it's a theatre piece. But she was doing it next door to a comedy show where they cranked the speaker up. So she's trying to do heartfelt comedy, and you could just hear this guy telling shit, and they were shit jokes.
I've had that in like Gilded Balloon though. You get that in like the real posh venues. Like I saw a show in Gilded Balloon that was this woman Juliet Burton. She's like a comedian, but she does shows about like mental health and stuff and like her various kind of struggles. And it was like a really sort of like personal thing about her trying to overcome her like eating disorders and stuff. And in the next room you can hear someone be like like loads of laughter and like microphone and stuff, and it was like this isn't the atmosphere that this piece requires. And that was in Gilded Balloon, in one of the like fairly sort of decent size ones. I
don't understand.
think they'd sort that out for the posh venues.
You see, okay,
they just try and cram stuff in like every corner.
Everywhere's a venue. And me, Emma, and Steve, we haven't had a falling out about it. We've certainly disagree over it, because I'm like, I don't want to do Edinburgh again, because I will only, and it's because I don't want to go and see shows at Edinburgh again, because I want to see the show. I want to take in the show. I want to be in the show. You know, not in it. You know what I mean? In the world of the show. I don't want all this fucking noise bleeding in, and
I've forgotten what venue we were in, but it was like it was the like exhibition-y meeting rooms of a hotel. But our green room was like a really, really tiny hotel room.
Was it one of those at the Radisson Blu?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But the green room was like here, and next to it was a proper, really like deep emotional stand-up show going on, like one of the talky real ones. But our like show change was on the same time as a ballet's show change, so there was like 20 of us trying to get in this room without making any noise, whilst ballerinas are getting like their kecks off and getting changed,
and
it's impossible
with shoes on. Ballerinas are notoriously loud.
Clomp, 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 clomp.
The one year I went with my university, we were doing a show, and it was like there was like 12 of us in the cast, and it was like quite physical theatre, lots mainly like music and movement and stuff. And we were on in Underbelly, and it's sort of like all these rooms underneath under the ground. You're in like different vaults. And so we were in this one, and directly above us was a show that these 2 or 3 women were doing about set in Uganda about like female genital mutilation. And it was like real heavy shit. And they said to us like, hey, is there any chance that you could like turn your music down? Because they'd be in this middle of this moment of silence talking about this really deep, like awful subject. And then we'd be like, please don't stop the music. We're downstairs having a pretend rave. And we were like, we can try, but there's not much that we can do about the bleed, because these are like vaults that were put here in like the 1600s to store plague victims. And there's like, they didn't think they'd need soundproofing then. Like,
it's like I've
it's
said,
a real crazy.
if I was to take a show there again, I'd want to know what venue it was in. I'd want to know.
Yeah.
But even then,
Yeah.
you're kind of a bit stuck. So what we found out, and we didn't find this out until we come back, we was up there for just the 1 week at the start of the festival. And we were in room 8. So, of course, 7 and 8 are the last rooms in this venue, up like 3 flights of stairs. It's not disabled access at all.
Yeah, no, it's bad for access.
And
yeah.
our room was really small. And it turned out the other room was bigger. And actually, that was originally room 8, where we should have been.
Oh.
We should have been in the bigger room. But one of the
That's
other
weird.
acts had come in, who were in room 7, and gone, this room's a bit small, that room's bigger. And they swapped the signs round on the door.
Oh my God.
What?
What a dickhead.
But and again,
firstly,
it's,
But
Dickhead.
firstly, fair dues to him. Clever as hell.
But it was
Dickhead,
things
but
like-
also
Ballsy manoeuvre.
quite admire them.
Yeah.
yeah, but it was also things like just before we were due to go up, we had an email saying we need a venue champion. There is no venue champion for this chip shop pub.
What the fuck is a bet? Oh
Right.
my
So,
god!
so basically, it was like someone who, if you had any issues, you could go and see them about the venue. And Emma and Steve was like, "Shall we volunteer?" And I'm like, "No. We're doing the fucking show. PBH is doing the venues and the fucking all that stuff. He should be providing. That's literally his fucking job. We've got enough to do doing the show." And I think they volunteered in the end, because they probably would have, because they're nice. I'm not. I'm just like, fuck him.
Yeah.
But then what
I don't
happened
want to be
was
putting up with everyone's complaints.
they
Bloody
got
hell.
they got a venue champion. Never fucking saw him. Never fucking saw him. It's just like, well, what's the point in having one then? And it just feels like there's way too much. Just cram as many shows in as you can, and fuck the quality of the shows. Fuck the experiences the audiences are going to have, that the acts are going to have. It doesn't fucking matter. Get as many shows in, make as much money as you can, because believe me, the people in the venues make a fucking killing.
Yeah, like I think it was, I've forgotten who it was on the Richard Herring Leicester Square Theatre podcast. They're talking like, I'm trying to tell friends that if I go to Edinburgh and I do a full month show and I sell out every show, how much money do you think I make? And they're all saying like £1 million. He's like, I will lose 30 grand.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to do it on the understanding that you'll get something else from it. Do you know what I mean? But that's not what it's supposed to be. Like,
Exactly. And I mean, completely different. Now, okay, we only run it for 1 day a year, and we only have 5 or 6 shows. But we do a little fringe room for Wolverhampton Lit Fest. Every act gets the bucket, and they get 75 quid. 75 quid and the bucket. Guaranteed.
I think there'll be a reckoning soon because, like,
gonna
people
have to
can't
be.
afford
It's
it. The
got to
Fringe,
be.
like, it'll move to a different city, I reckon, probably.
Well,
That
like,
somebody will take
Leicester's-
the lead and be like,
Leicester's
right, well,
the
we're
biggest
doing it.
comedy
It's
festival
affordable.
now.
Yeah, and like the thing is with Leicester is it's affordable.
It's 40 quid per show.
Yeah. It's 70 quid for your first show and then 40 quid for each
Yeah.
one after that as a registration fee. And like accommodation in Leicester's like affordable. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But
it's
then, so like for comedy, you've got that Camden Fringe is growing as well for a lot of the art stuff. But then again, that's in
Yeah.
London and it's still super
London is,
expensive.
yeah.
It's just the art side of it that Edinburgh's desperately onto because the rest of the country's gone, oh, we can just set up a comedy festival, people will come. Sweet.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think,
Like
you know
comedy.
what?
Especially this year though, like the accommodation costs have gone insane. Like we're staying like 15 people in a 4-bedroom flat.
We did that.
And like, yeah. And even then it's costing thousands. You know what I mean? And we're only doing it because the theatre company's built up funds to be able to do it. So if you're on your own, if you're like a stand-up on your own, I don't know how anyone's affording it. 'Cause
I have
the
no
prices
idea how
are
they can afford it.
insane. Yeah.
And you're more so. Someone called Double Click 52 has just come in. Hello, is this an open mic podcast? Yeah. Well, no, not really. It's not open mic, but I mean, our mics are open. I suppose it's open mic in that regards. The other thing about Edinburgh as well is you will hemorrhage money. Like, and they don't even hide it. You'll go to a chip shop and there'll be a board outside that says fish and chips, 8 quid. And there'll just be a line through it and it'll say 16 quid. So, we don't give a shit.
No, see, I'm totally okay with that for only in one location can do that. Only one confectionery sort of takeaway can do it, and it's the world's best takeaway, and it's the one that does macaroni cheese pies.
Macaroni pies are a gift from God.
They can charge me anything.
What?
So imagine a pie about 3 inches tall, not like that big.
You get them in Tesco in Scotland. They're a common thing in Scotland. Scotland knows what it's doing.
There is one that fucking.
They fry them. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Oh, fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have cried when I first had that.
Yeah.
It was.
I have like my
walk
pilgrimage
now.
places, so I have to get chips and gravy from the chip shop on the corner of the grass market and look at the castle and eat my chips. That's one of the things I got to do. Got to tick it off.
Very romantic.
Famously romantic, guys. Chips.
But yeah, I mean, Morecambe Fringe is nice and
Yeah.
cheap.
I'm looking forward to going back to Edinburgh just because I love the city and like I love seeing stuff but it also is like an abusive mistress that you keep going back to because it's like I know it'll bankrupt me and like I'll be like damp probably and like do you know what I mean and exhausted, especially because my show's on in the morning as well. So
my first Edinburgh, I had just got. I was scared I was going to be absolutely broke for Edinburgh after I paid for everything, so I paid for it all up front, and then I did 2 weeks working, and then I got my first adult paycheck.
Aww.
And I took out the money I needed for like rent, which was not a lot because I was sharing my house with 3 people. And then I was like, I'm going to be drunk every day.
The first year that I went for the
nice,
full month, I was
don't know.
paying off my overdraft from that for about another year.
Wow.
Because I spent so much money on food and shows and stuff.
I mean, I've said before, I'm very lucky. I've got a day job that pays my bills. I couldn't afford Edinburgh, and I wasn't paying for accommodation. I was staying out in Dalkeith, so it was like 50 minutes an hour in every day, and an hour back. But fortunately, the public transport in Edinburgh is brilliant.
The public transport's great, yeah. I'm probably gonna have to get a bus into the venue this time just because I can't walk so good anymore.
Rachel's also put that it's a neurodivergent nightmare. Total sensory overload.
Yeah, you do have to factor in. Like I always have my time where it's like, right, I'm going to Greyfriars now. Nobody follow me, and I go and sit by myself in the graveyard for a bit. Like, I'm having my quiet time.
Do you stroke Greyfriars Bobby's nose?
I give him a little pat on the head.
You shouldn't touch his nose.
Because it's all rubbed off.
It's damaging
where
the
people have touched
statue.
it.
Mikey, we'll talk about something you know about in a minute. The cricket's going well.
I checked in it. Do you mean Somerset? I checked in just after lunch, and there were 90 without loss.
Oh, I didn't even know that Essex were playing. Were given the like. Oh, are you talking about? Yeah, Essex they've won that game already.
Yeah.
Just at the score. Oh dear.
Have you been watching the Women's Euros?
I have been.
Now,
No.
that isn't that a joy?
It's fucking brilliant.
I've heard it's good from
It's
people talking about it on
fucking
Twitter.
I'm in the
brilliant.
fantasy league for that as well. I am not
Yeah.
doing well.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I've got to start on my fantasy team when we get off this.
It's putting the
But
men's game to shame, as far as I'm concerned. Like, they leave everything on the pitch. They are so tenacious. Like, you'll have teams 5-0 up, and they will be going for a 6 with everything they've got. And the team that are 5-0 down will be defending for their life. They never drop their heads. Ever.
No, that's true.
And they've just been brilliant, and the football has been superb.
Yeah, I was proper invested.
Yeah.
Not that I haven't been anyway, but the other night against Spain, it's like you never doubted that they weren't ever gonna get back into it.
More importantly, I've got to think of a team name for the fantasy team.
Oh, let's.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I haven't started mine yet, because we're...
You got to pick the name first, and
pick
what
the
if I
name
think of
first.
something after?
What quiz team names did you used to have?
My brother's best quiz team name, and it's one I'm very proud of him for creating, was the menstrual cycle display team.
Oh no!
We were for a while Quizzy Savile.
So,
No.
quizzing my pants was one.
Norfolk and Chance we were for a while. Because when the guy reads it out, he's like, and in first place, it's Norfolk and Chance.
We then became Quizlamic State.
Come on.
And
These are easy. These are like
This
everyone's
worked.
choosing these.
this worked even better because one of our players, Ryan, did have a massive beard. So when we won, which we invariably did, we sent Ryan up to get the prizes.
Wait a second. Wait, everybody stop.
seen
Johnty's
Johnty's
put
suggestion?
Gagoff Football Club.
Yes.
GGFC.
GGFC.
Oh,
I
God.
cannot tell you how proud I was of my name for the fantasy football when it.
Oh no, it's 2 letters too long.
Gagoff Soccer Club. No, that's wrong.
No, you can't.
No,
call it
I'm just
soccer.
going to put Gagoff FC.
Hannah,
Take off
delete
FC.
spaces.
Delete spaces.
I'll just put Gagoff FC. We know what that is, right?
Yeah, that.
Wait, hang on. My
Select
name's now changed to Haven't Jot a Clue. Whereas I'm definitely sure that the name I picked was Rodri Uplonka.
That's your draft one.
So I picked 2 great
Okay.
names, is what I'm hearing.
I realised, right? So I've got a draft team and a normal team, and I named my normal team Morgan Gibbs Hype.
Of course you did.
I realised that if he leaves before the start of the season, I'm going to
Oh
look
my
like
god.
a right
How are
wally.
there so many footballers?
Johnson, can
Guys.
you clip that, please?
How are there?
Anyone would think it was the most popular game in the world.
So many of them.
So
I'm only on
each-
goalkeepers.
Each team's got about 22 players registered.
Yeah, but I'm only looking at goalkeepers.
So that's like 40 goalkeepers per squad, some possibly more.
Yeah.
Per league.
Also,
I'm going solely on
goalkeepers-
vibes.
Goalkeepers don't count towards registration either, so they could have an infinite number.
Total points. Oh,
So you've
right.
got
So
a-
if they've got a
you've got
lot of points, that means they're quite good, right?
You've got a limited budget as well to spend.
Yeah, I've got 100 mil.
Gosh, that sounds like a lot, but it's not.
But it's not.
How
Because
how
there's a lot of
much-
people on a football
How
team.
much are the big names, Adam? Like how
About
much is
14, 15 around there.
Oh, right. Well, these goalkeepers are like 5.
Yeah, the goalkeepers are about 5 because they don't get many
'cause
points.
they're goalkeepers.
Sorry, the best ones are like 11, 12. Sorry, not 14.
Right. There's somebody called
No.
Floris, which sounds like a Welsh slow Loris, so I'll be picking him.
Oh,
You
Hugo
go. I had
Flores.
him. I had
The
him
famous
Flores
French,
seasons
the
ago.
famous French Welshman Hugo Flores.
Floris. I'm doing it solely on vibes. The Pope? Bad vibes.
Take that, Nick. You are bad vibes.
Oh God, I've just seen the time. It's 9:30.
Oh, yeah.
We've done
Can we
everything
keep
on the
this
list.
going a bit
though.
longer? I'll go on until she gets some centre backs.
Mendy, that's a cool name. You can be my other
Oh,
one.
hang on.
Oh,
Which
which one?
Is that a goalkeeper?
He's got an orange jumper.
Oh, just a second. Still a goalkeeper,
Oh,
right?
I
Yeah.
love you, Hannah Platts.
Okay, for you because
I love you. Oh.
This is great. I might change my team name to solely on vibes. Alexander Arnold is a long surname.
Yeah. What's his first name? I've forgotten. Is it Andrew?
Trent.
Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's right. It's named.
Do people tend to like pick people that are just like from the team they like, or do they pick them because they think they'll get more points?
It depends. Like
Points,
say, a
normally.
mate of mine who's very good at these things. He's got a spreadsheet going.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
We used to do one for like the Six Nations and the Rugby World Cup and stuff. So, but I would always refuse to pick any England players. So I never won, but I felt like I had the moral victory.
yeah.
And that's what's important.
If you pick like a Liverpool centre back or a
Yeah.
Liverpool defender,
Van
he's going to be
Dijk.
getting nice.
Is that one?
Virgil, yeah,
Yeah, good old Verge.
he's going to be getting like
His name Virgil.
yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly
picking him.
the greatest centre back living.
I picked him because he sounds like a Dutch painter, and I like
he's-
Dutch
He is
painters.
Dutch.
Possibly the greatest centre back alive, if not who's ever lived. He's phenomenal.
He is Dutch as well.
Yeah.
So
He's very good.
Oh,
Though actually,
I'm
I would wager that a certain Maximilian Kilman. I'm not saying he's the greatest, but
you know what? Max Kilman.
Cucurella, that's a nice name.
Max Kilman has been impressing me, dude.
like
But-
Max
That's a
Kilman
great name.
Azpilicueta. Good
that's
name.
Filiqueta. He's
Played
a
for-
Brazilian.
played futsal, you know.
You're not.
I would.
You can't pick anyone from Arsenal either, Platts, because
Why not?
Because
everyone hates
Are they
Arsenal.
bad?
Arsenal.
well, it's just like having a chocolate fire guard. Like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
What about Cash? I can pretend it's Pat Cash.
You can.
Yeah,
you can
but
pick
again,
Cash, yeah.
Spiller.
Pat Cash. Oh no, are they bad?
Well, no, it's more that you're talking to some Wolverhampton fans, and
Oh,
Wolverhampton
it's a
are
local
rivals.
rivalry. Okay, I better take that
You're
off.
sort of,
It's a local
you're sort of
rivalry.
constantly 2 minutes away from 1982 being mentioned.
Okay. What about? Oh, there's a Wolves player. I'll have him.
What's his
What's
name?
his name?
Cody.
That's Connor Cody. There's only
Captain
one. Connor
Fantastic.
Cody.
Connor Cody, who occasionally scores goals, and by occasionally, I mean incredibly rarely.
Diaz.
got about
like
four
Rosa
last season.
Diaz, my favourite Brooklyn Nine-Nine character. Have that.
Hang on, as in the Liverpool player,
I don't know.
The
Blue
Don't-
jumper.
I'll
Blue
tell you
jumper.
what.
Man City.
Ruben Man City.
Diaz.
Oh, yeah.
Ruben
decent
Diaz.
player, yeah.
Diaz. Oh, Man City. I thought you meant
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Nah.
Who's the
Man
Diaz
City.
for Liverpool?
Is it Brazilian or Portuguese? Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz. Hey.
I shouldn't be telling you who I'm putting on my team in case you decide to copy me and then win when I win.
You get to see what people's team
we'll
is
just
anyway.
we'll only get the same level points as you anyway.
Yeah, Luis Diaz. Those last few games, I thought he was Liverpool's best player. I thought he was phenomenal. And then he kept subbing him, but then again, Jurgen Klopp obviously knows more about football than I do. Because I'm a twat. So, are we going to wrap it up there, or are we going to?
Yeah,
that's
because otherwise, there's a lot of people on a team, and I'm just going on vibes.
What we'll do is we'll put a link to our Stories from the Smoke Room League in the socials.
Oh yeah, then people can join the league.
So people can join the league if you want to.
I've created the league. I've dropped the message in the thing, I'll put it on the WhatsApp.
What's it called, Adam? Are you going to tell us the team name?
It's just Stories from the Smoke Room League.
Well, there we go. We've done that.
Desperate for a wee, so we're going to end it there. So say goodbye, everyone. We'll be back after summer.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to have a summer break now.
Yeah,
hold on. Before we go, are we going to raid? We can raid someone.
I've not even seen who's on. Jim, Sterling's on.
Sterling's on. We will raid.
Jim fucking Sterling's son.
I've not seen them. What sort of stuff do they do?
They do lots of
saying Metal Gear Solid, according to.
I would really, you'd have a lot of fun if you just watch their review of a games company tried to sue them for like $400 million.
Surely you have to have $400 million.
It is an absolute hoot. Digital Homicide tried to sue them. It's an absolute hoot of a watch.
But yes, if you follow Jim Sterling on YouTube or on Twitch, we will raid James Stephanie Sterling. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been lovely. Bye everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
I will press that and
have a lovely summer.
Going over in a bit. Yes, have a nice summer. We'll be back probably September. And watch out on the socials for the Fantasy Football League.
Yes.
We're off. Bye.
Bye.
I love you all deeply.
We're done.
Summer holiday. We need to arrange a meet-up or something as well in the summer.